So today we have with us Matt Malek. He is the area program director for Victory Lane Camp. And Matt, I was wondering, you're wearing the hat. What made you a Nebraska fan here in Newcastle, Indiana?
I grew up in Nebraska. That's
Oh,
the
that makes
short
sense.
answer.
That makes sense.
The long, when I was growing up, when I was in high school, that was when Nebraska was winning back to back, almost back to back to back national championships. And so that was my sophomore, junior, senior years in high school. So when they won their last national championship, I was about to graduate high school. And so I've been a fan ever since.
You were young and
Yeah,
impressionable.
well, if you grow up in Nebraska, there's nothing else. Now, I
Right.
know that I hear that some of the kids in Nebraska, they're not huge Nebraska fans anymore, but I don't think it's the majority. I think most you grow up in it and that's all you know. So,
I think I do have a little Nebraska story. Me and my father-in-law went to Nebraska to deer hunt. He had met some people there, a pastor, and so we took this big long trip to Nebraska to deer hunt. And we're used to the Indiana woods deer hunting and tree
mhm.
stands. And we get closer and closer to this area we're supposed to be hunting, this county we're supposed to be hunting,
Mhm.
and we see nothing but miles of flat land. And he said, Clay, where are we going to hunt? It was a total different experience. Last time we talked, you told me you were working with Victory Lane Camp. And so I'm familiar with Victory Lane Camp. I was a board member for, uh, it may have been about 3 years, 2 or 3 years, several years ago, and met Brett and his wife, Paige, and great people. And then,
Yeah.
so I'm familiar with Victory Lane. I haven't been associated with them for many years, but then I was excited because knowing you through the barbershop, being a
Mhm.
customer and everything, and having
Yeah.
many conversation, I got excited when I heard about you filling this role with Victory Lane Camp
Mhm.
because I think they do so much good. And
Mhm.
so let's go there. Talk a little bit about Victory Lane Camp. Who are you there? What is Victory Lane Camp, and what makes you excited about it?
All right. First, before I get started, I want to make sure our audience understands the language because in the church world, we have our church words. Well, in
Yeah.
Victory Lane, we have our Victory Lane words.
Yes.
So we categorize families in two different categories. We have our victory families,
Yes.
which is the families with kids with disabilities. Then we have our partner families, which are families with kids without disabilities. And so our goal there at Victory Lane is to build community around victory families. We want to
Yeah.
make sure we build community around them, that they feel supported and loved. Because what we find is that both groups, at times they feel isolated, especially the victory families. They can feel isolated. They can feel like nobody else understands them. Nobody understands what they're going through, the
Yeah.
hardships that they have.
Yeah.
Uh, and I recognize it. We have people that work in the office, so we are partnered with 321 Go Kids.
Yes.
Actually, they're both owned by Brett. We're both in the same building, and I work with some people in 321 Go who have kids that do have some severe disabilities but these kids just want to be treated like kids. And I
Right.
was talking to one lady, she was asking questions about us, and she said she had described what one of her sons had and it was to a T to what someone else in her office has. And I was on the phone with her, and I was like, "Hey, can you come talk to her really quick and let her know how we handled your family when they first came to a camp?" And
Okay.
so he was able to speak light into this situation. He's like,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Oh, somebody does understand what we're going
Yeah.
through."
Yeah.
And you could hear that. Even though it's on the phone, you could just hear like the light bulbs turn on. Like, oh, they get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we want our kids to be treated like kids. We don't want them to be treated um, like babies,
Right.
which a lot
Right.
of times people treat kids with disabilities like they're infants or but they're not. They're kids. They want to
Right.
be treated like kids.
Right.
They just have something going on in their
Right.
lives. So
And there was one thing you had mentioned about how people don't understand. And
yeah.
there's one thing that I always think about that I learned when I was around Victory Lane Camp. was a family with a child that has a disability. Um, a simple grocery trip can
Hmm.
be an extraordinary feat for these families
Yeah.
sometimes. The amount of time that sometimes it takes to load up into a van, the amount of
Hmm.
time it takes to unload the van. There's
Hmm.
all these things that most of us just take for granted and don't think of until we're hit in the face with that. And that's one thing that I really, really did and do appreciate about Victory Lane Camp is how they do put a spotlight and bring education and an
Hmm.
understanding to the community on how we should conduct ourselves around these families because they're
Hmm.
not, how do I want to say it? They're not like you were trying to describe there. They're not something for us just to look at and be afraid of. They want
Yeah.
community also. They want us to be
Yeah.
treated just like everyone else.
And I think sometimes they don't think like they can actually get community. And that's what they don't feel like people will be patient with them or that it's out there for
Oh,
them.
yeah.
So one thing that we really want to do is show that, hey, we are here for you, and we want to build community around you, and we want to teach people. Sometimes the partner families, which are the families with kids without disabilities, they may be intimidated, but really want to show them that there's so much they can do just by being there.
Yeah,
The
just being
power, and
present.
Brett wants to talk about the ministry of presence.
Presence. Yes.
Just yeah, just being there, just being an ear to listen to, and or maybe go play with the kids, and while the mom needs to have an adult converse, like just talking to other adults and like feeling like a like he likes to call it a respite with purpose, a
Yeah.
respite with purpose. They
Right.
get a break, but there's purpose behind it.
Right.
And
Right.
so
Now I know Paige. I think it was Paige that headed them up. Like she used to do like the women's retreat or mothers
yeah,
retreats, or
yeah,
is that still a part of Victory Lane Camp, or is
yeah,
like what kind of functions do you do, and how can the community get engaged and things of that
yeah.
nature?
Well, with the women's refresh, that's what we
Women's
call it.
refresh. Yes.
Yeah, that's going on. That is coming up, and that's for ladies who are in the Victory Lane community. You've been to camp or you've been to another event. My wife hasn't been to camp yet, but she's been to some events, and she's going to sign up to go to that. And that's going to be, I think, oh gosh, I think in August. Yeah, and then, but we also have right now we're starting something new called Summer Tuesday Nights. And so what we're doing is every other Tuesday night until August, and then in August we're going to be meeting for the first few weeks in August. Where we have access to Montgomery Creek Ranch, which is down in Knightstown,
Okay.
and they have come alongside us and partnered with us to give us space where the kids can go swimming and they can have fun while the parents just hang out and talk and get
Oh
loved on. And
wow.
we got families there, Victory families there, and it's completely free. So up until August, and then our goal is the first 3 weeks in August to meet, and then and so
Okay.
like this last one, for example, was I was sort of alluding to this story where this lady, she was sitting with a bunch of adults and talking and just being loved on, and her son was in the pool playing. Her son's got disabilities and he's a great kid. He's just, but he was in the pool. He did not want to leave. And
Okay.
she's like, he's safe. I can see him and I can talk to other people. And then Brett comes up to her and he was loving on her. And then it was time to eat. He said, why don't you get some food? You're up first. She goes, I feel like I'm on vacation. It was
Oh
awesome.
wow, that's awesome.
And I've seen her a few other times. I've seen her one other time at 321. I'll go and talk to people in the lobby, and she just opened up to me. It was awesome. I can just tell that there's life there. They're getting hope, and that's what Victory Lane tries to bring is hope to not just the Victory families but the partner families.
Yeah.
Because I was in the pool. I'm technically a partner family, even though I work for Victory Lane.
Right.
I was in the pool playing with these two twins who were had disabilities, like catching them as they jumped into the pool. They just wanted to keep getting caught and keep jumping in the pool. And the grandma was able to have a break, and she was able to go and she was still in the pool with me, but she was talking to another lady
Yeah.
while I was just taking care of her boys.
Yeah.
And it's just the power of I didn't realize I needed that. You know what I mean? I didn't realize I needed to be able to love on these kids and help this mom until I started working for Victory Lane, and the passion for that Brett has is I'm starting to catch it because
Yeah.
I'm around families and I see the need, and I'm loving on these kids. I'm not, but it's not just the kids. I'm loving on the parents.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm pastoring Victory Lane in a way.
Yeah.
I'm there for the people
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
Victory Lane.
And that's you mentioned Brett Fisher and passion, and
Yeah.
Brett
I
definitely
don't think
is
he lacks any of
passionate.
that.
He is passionate. Yes, he is fired up. He is a big visionary, no doubt about it. And again, that's another thing that was exciting to me when I heard you coming on and how they're wanting to expand Victory Lane Camp, because I know we talked about it years ago when I was on the board. Brett had this grandiose vision of just impacting as many families as possible. Just wanting, and you keep using the word loving on families a lot, loving on these kids, loving on these parents, and
Mm.
but that was his passion, is to truly spread this love, this concern, this embrace that, hey, um, I don't know, I call it this. I just label it all as this human experience, right? We all have this human experience. We all have uh, internal needs. We're body, soul, and spirit. And we want to be embraced, and we want to be accepted, and we want to be loved. And, you know, um, and that's the one thing about Victory Lane Camp that I really, really enjoyed, is their willingness to step out, step beyond the boundaries, um, make people uncomfortable. They
Yeah.
definitely know how to make people uncomfortable, with the idea that we're making you uncomfortable because we want you to learn to be comfortable. And
Yeah.
and that's how we challenge ourselves, by challenging ourselves with things we are uncomfortable with, stepping into the moment, and then we learn that it's not that bad, right? And that it's easier than we thought it was, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Am I making sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And, when you're talking about making people uncomfortable, you kind of alluded to this, but when you're uncomfortable, you take action. You're either
Yeah,
going to run away or you're going to run to it.
that's
You got to,
that's
we
true.
want people to do something about it. And there's even just in Newcastle, there's a huge community of people that I don't think are seen. Because like you said earlier, it takes them forever to get to the
Yeah,
grocery store. It takes them forever to get to church. Some people don't even try to go to church because by the time they get to church, get unloaded, get their kids in, they almost have to turn right around and do it all again to get them out. So what's
yeah,
the point of going?
yeah,
It's easier to watch online than actually go.
yeah.
And so, uh, one thing that we'll be working on this next year is, God willing, is that I'll be going into churches and I'll be talking to other churches and try to get the church more involved in what we're doing at Victory Lane. Not saying they're not involved now, but just trying to help other pastors see the vision and see what is something we can do to reach out to our neighbors who have kids with disabilities. Um,
Yeah,
and so and just brainstorm with them because
yeah, yeah,
we don't have all the answers, but there may not be a one size fit all answer. It may have to be for
oh
every
yeah,
family, every situation, and maybe they still won't make it to church, but can we do something where we take the church to them somehow, or whatever we can do, not overwhelm people. This is just me just spitballing right now. Like
yeah,
there's nothing in the works what I just said, so
yeah.
don't anybody with that. But when I was pastoring, I was always trying to think of ways of getting the church outside of the walls.
Okay.
Like, how do we get our church out of, like, church cannot just happen on Sunday mornings.
Yeah,
We're not called if you're a Christian, you're not called to be a Christian one day a
Yeah.
week. You're
It's a
called to be a
full,
Christian
yeah,
24/7.
it's lifestyle. It's just who you are,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And you got to be reaching out to people and loving on people. And I know I keep saying loving on people, but if you show love to people, people are going to like you. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the secret
Yeah. Yeah.
to my life is that
Yeah.
I genuinely like people, and
Yeah.
I would say 9 times out of 10, people end up liking me back.
Yeah.
It's just those weird people that don't like anybody. They think I'm up to no good. They're just suspicious.
Right.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
smile
But
and a handshake
there's,
and a
I'll tell you,
year.
in on that, whether it's government, whether it's school officials, preachers, there's been so much corruption that's came out.
Mhm.
Like at first, people don't want to trust, right? And you're like, no, but I really do care. Like,
Yeah.
but it just takes time, right? You have to. It's over a period of time you prove yourself,
You
and
remember
then people are like,
conversations. Yeah.
what's that? What'd you
Yeah,
say?
so you start remembering conversations and you intentionally remember
Yes,
things about
you
people.
got to be
Then
intentional.
2 or 3 times down the road, they're like, "Oh, he is legit. He does
Yes,
care about me."
yes, exactly. Now, I want to hit on help if we can. But you said something that I think was awesome, and we just actually have a few minutes left here. It's went by a lot quicker than I thought it was going to, but I love what you said about you wanting to connect with the churches. Okay, so you've been a pastor for years. You've been a youth pastor. You've been a senior pastor. You know what it feels like to be a pastor. You know what pastors go through. You know the heart of a
Yeah.
pastor. We have many pastors in our city, in our county, in our community. We have many of them that do want to do good things. They do want to reach out and they do want to connect. I love that idea. So let's end with that. How, if a pastor wanted to connect with you personally and discover more about Victory Lane Camp and how they can minister, because we're talking about ministering to our own community, right? This
Yeah.
isn't
Yeah.
sending money, 1,000 miles away or to some celebrity preacher. This is right here in Newcastle, in Henry County. They can have an impact right here on families. What do they need to do to just reach out and kind of get this um, system going here to try to brainstorm with you on what's the next steps? I know you were just
First thing
spitballing, but I like it.
First thing they can do is just reach out to me. They can email me at info@victorylanecamp.org,
Okay.
info@victorylanecamp.org. And then I'll love to take them to coffee. Uh, we didn't get to it, but I
We
also
didn't
roast
get to the
coffee, and I love
coffee. Hey,
coffee.
you know something about coffee.
Coffee, coffee is a passion of mine. But I'd love to sit over a cup of coffee. I don't care which coffee shop you want to go to. I'll sit over a cup of coffee with you, and I'll buy it. I'll buy you your coffee. Just don't get anything foo-foo. Just get something normal. But I'll get you a cup of coffee, and we can talk and just discuss what you can do, how you can get involved. If you want to get involved quicker and you want to see what Victory Lane's all about, you can come to one of our Tuesday night events. Just let me know, and I
Yeah.
will get you hooked up with the tickets. We ask everybody to register, so that way we know how much food we need. Um, but they can come to that, and they can see what it's all about. I have already talked to one pastor last week, and they're planning on, I think, coming to the next one, which is on July 8th, and she is excited to see what we're all about.
Okay, good.
And
Good.
I just come and check us out, or just email me, and I will come and talk to you. You know, I will share the heart of Victory Lane and why, when I was presented with this opportunity, I jumped at it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was going to do in town. I knew I wasn't called to leave Newcastle. I knew I was called to stay. And God never released me from that call. And so I was like, all right, what am I supposed to do? And then this opened up. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I jumped at it because I can still minister to people. I can still make difference in people's lives,
Yeah,
or allow the Holy Spirit to use me to make difference in people's lives.
absolutely.
Because it's not about me;
Absolutely.
it's about introducing people to Jesus. So
Absolutely. That's awesome. And yeah, I love it. And that's why I wanted to even begin these recordings that I started doing, is because I believe, and I've been a part even of exposing some of the negative stuff, right? Some of the bad things. But there are so many people here that want to see Newcastle thrive, to truly,
yeah,
what I say is, be a beacon of hope. And it's
yeah,
people like you, God drew you here for a reason. And I love what you just said. I didn't feel called to leave. Like, I'm here to stay. How can I help? And I think that's what we're going to start seeing, is people are going to start rising up, because they're going to realize there is something special about this place. And I think we can, together with everybody doing their part, like a football team, everybody plays their part. And I think we can be a beacon of hope for sure. Um, Man, I really love some of the things you said. I like hearing about where Victory Lane Camp is. Any last words, real quick? We're going to have to do another one
I
of
just
these
want
to
to.
catch up
Yeah,
on.
that's fine.
Yeah,
If you want to do, also, if you can't get to the Tuesday night event, I'm talking to the pastors or other Christians, but you want to help, we will always take donations. We can always use help financially, because what we do is we help families get to camp, because camp
yeah,
can get kind of costly,
it's
pricey. And
expensive.
so, yeah. And so
Yeah,
if you'll help a family go to camp financially, uh, and just so presence and how and finances. And if in churches as a whole, get with us if you want to do a meal for one of these things, and we'll get you in touch with Beth, who deals with the meal stuff.
yeah.
Right now, it seems like almost all of our meals are taken care of. We may have one or two in August that we still need covered, but we'll figure that out. Also, if you don't want to go to coffee shop, I'm just gonna give one quick plug for my other business. I have Malek Coffee Roasters. Anyway,
Yeah, there you
switching
go.
hats. Yeah. Come see me at the farmers market and we can talk. I'll talk to you. I
Every
joke with
Saturday,
people.
right?
It's every Saturday from 8 to noon. I joke with people saying sometimes we need two lines on my table, one line for people to talk to me, one line for people to buy stuff from me. Because I will talk. We can sit, I'll stand up and you can stand across the table from me. We can talk and I'll answer all the questions you have.
But you
So,
still want to be
um,
selling some coffee, though. You're there for a reason.
yeah, I'm there to make money, but I'm also there to love on our people.
Right, right.
God put me there for a reason.
There
I
you
love our
go.
community.
There
And
you
so,
go. Hey, I appreciate it, Matt. Thank you so much for taking your time away from roasting your coffee beans and telling us a little bit about Victory Lane Camp. Hope you enjoyed that conversation with Matt from Victory Lane Camp. I highly encourage you to check out their website so you can learn more about them. They have a tremendous mission to help kids move from isolation into lifelong friendships.